Guys, it's me. It is Queen Said Haru, and thank you for joining me for a wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Hi guys, guess what? Okay, so before I get started, we're going to have a riveting conversation today about Mercury Retrograde. But before I said that to anybody, I wanted you guys to know, I told you guys the other day that fire sign, one of our subbies, hey girl, sent me Amazon gift card and told me to get whatever I wanted. So I had some items on the list that I really wanted, so I got them from Amazon. And after I finish doing this video, I'm going to give you guys a link to them in case one of you wants them too. Now, one of the things you guys might not know about me that you're going to know right now is that I love stuffed animals. And I don't have really much of a collection. I have a couple of the My Little Pony plushies, and that's it. So I saw these on Amazon. Is Dobby from the Harry Potter series. And I had to have Dobby. I think Dobby is so cute. So Dobby has come to protect me. So this is what I got from Amazon with the gift card. I got one other thing too. This is so cute. Meet my baby Ron. Ron is a niffler from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And they're so cute, and they always stealing things that are shiny. So Ron has a little coin, and Ron has a little pouch in the front. Let me see. Yes, right there. A little pouch in the front that I can hide little things in. So I thought that was so cute. So I got myself two of the most adorable little stuffed animals with my Amazon gift card. Thank you so much, fire sign. They are so cute. All right, now let's get down to business. So today, Mercury went retrograde. Mercury went retrograde at 1:19 p.m. Eastern. So some of you are sitting there thinking to yourself, what the hell is retrograde? What does that mean? I'll give you a quick explanation. Basically, every planet goes retrograde. What this means is that from where we are on Earth, the planet appears to be orbiting backwards. So whatever direction it's supposed to go in, usually it's like a racetrack and it just goes around, but it appears to be going in the opposite direction. Now, it's not really going in the opposite direction, but it appears that way to us from Earth. So every time a planet goes retrograde, the early astronomers and astrologers and farmers and people who created almanacs realized that every time this happens, every time this phenomenon happens, it's a bad omen. They called it a bad omen. And they called it that not because evil things happen, but because things go wrong. Mercury retrograde brings forward things that need to be fixed. So some of the times that means that things will break, such as your washing machine, your car, your computer, your cell phone. Usually it's something that already needed to be fixed in the first place. So these farmers noticed that, equipment would break, crops would go bad, there'd be too much rain, things like that would happen. And they're like, what is this? So they started clocking these retrograde periods. So now all of us that know about retrogrades know that during Mercury retrograde, these are some of the things that may go wrong. And I'm going to give you a list of all the things that might actually happen. So this retrograde is going to last until March 28th at 9:59 a.m. Eastern. So that's how long we're going to deal with this. It's only a couple of weeks. And what can you expect during a retrograde? Well, chances are you've probably lived through hundreds of them already. So if you haven't noticed them or heard somebody talking about them, I'll give you a little bit of what you can expect. Some people can expect nothing. Some people are not going to notice anything at all. Some of them because they're not really sensitive like that. And some people because nothing is going to happen. Sometimes you have a retrograde where nothing goes wrong. And sometimes you have a retrograde where everything goes wrong. It just depends. Sometimes it happens with people around you, but not anything to you. So some of you will expect and see nothing at all. Still others, the majority of us, can expect miscommunication. Miscommunication is the biggest thing that happens during a retrograde. For some reason, people cannot talk during a retrograde. And for Aquarius who already have problems sometimes with communication, this is usually a very difficult time. So if anything comes up during a retrograde that's really detrimental that I have to talk about, I try to wait until after the retrograde period, especially if it's a matter of the heart. Okay, because these things have a way of going wrong. I mean, you could be trying your damnedest, but during a retrograde, a Mercury retrograde, miscommunication tends to happen often. Sometimes, like I said before, things break. Objects will break, usually things that needed to be replaced, but not always. Okay, your car battery could die out of the clear blue sky, and you're like, this is a new battery. What's the problem? Things like that happen. One time my washing machine went. One time my hot water heater went. These things happen. And some people will be like, oh, this isn't real. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Sit back and just watch and ask people about this period and see how many people report breaking things and miscommunication. Those are the top two. Technology going haywire. I remember times when computers would crash or a certain program out of the clear blue sky wouldn't work. Things along those lines. It's also thought of as a bad time to start new endeavors. It's a good time more so for revisions and reviews. So instead of starting a new contract or a new something, unless of course you can't avoid it, it's a good time to review something old, to revise an old play that you're writing, for example, to look at something old that has gone unfinished. This is a great time for review, revision, repeating something, that kind of thing. It's a great time for looking backwards at what has not been finished and getting it ready to be finished by the end of the retrograde, by the time the planet goes direct again. So that's what they tell us. Every retrograde has a shadow period. The shadow period is right before it starts and right after it ends. So it doesn't just click off like a switch. It kind of just trails in and it kind of trails off. So some people will have noticed or felt this retrograde a week or so before it even starts. And some people who are really sensitive, they'll continue to see things happening a week or so after it ends. That's called the shadow period. I don't usually get affected very strongly by the shadow period, but I do notice it. Because usually one small thing pull my mind to it, and I'm like, is Mercury retrograde? Is it getting ready to go? And it'll pull my mind to it. But that's the shadow period. And remember, like I said before, that all planets go retrograde. Why is this important? Because they all have different things that go wrong when they go retrograde. When Venus goes retrograde, matters with the heart and relationships and things like that don't go too well. So it's not a good time for dealing with stuff like that. Most astrologers or people who deal with retrogrades try to plan around the retrograde for things that may be a problem. So let's say, for example, I know that I have to talk to somebody about something that's really serious. I'm going to try to get that conversation done before or after the retrograde. If something needs to be fixed, I'm going to try to get it fixed before the retrograde, before it has a chance to break down on me. After my water heater went, that taught me a very valuable lesson about waiting to the last minute to get something fixed that I knew needed to be fixed anyway. And also, like when I said about starting new endeavors, if I have to do something new, I try to plan it before or after the retrograde. Remember, retrogrades happen often, and Mercury retrograde is the one that gives me the most problems. So I try to keep an eye on when it's coming. And it comes about 4 times a year, like I said, for a couple of weeks. So I always look and see, okay, where is it going to be at? And I try to plan these kind of things around it. Now, mind you, life is not going to stop while I sit there and chart out the heavens. So sometimes I don't have a choice, but I do make that attempt because it's easier. It's easier not to do communication during Mercury retrograde than to clean it up later. You know, it's easier to fix an object before it breaks than to fix it on the spot, you know? So that's the deal with Mercury retrograde. So for the next 2.5 something weeks, you're going to hear people talking about Mercury retrograde. Some people are going to be saying it's hogwash. Some people are going to swear by it. Now, mind you, I told you earlier, it was first discovered by farmers. These people had no reason to be, to be looking at the heavens other than to benefit themselves. So if farmers noticed it, up front, for me, it was like when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, then that's something, because it's something that was observed, not just something that somebody said out the clear blue sky. And then I started to observe it for myself. I started to mark on the calendar when it was coming and when it was going, and writing down what happened on that day. And every time across the board, it was miscommunications, objects breaking, technology problems, started something new, it didn't go right, across the board. And it might not be every single day, but every time there was a retrograde, there was some of that. A lot of that. So some of you are going to notice this as you're looking. Some of you have never heard of it before. You're going to do a little informal search, a little informal experiment, I'll call it, and just see if you can notice things going wrong with yourself and others around you during this time. And like I said, still some of you will notice nothing at all. So that's Mercury retrograde. I'm going to talk about the retrogrades of the other planets too, but this is specific for this one because I just read about it and it's going on right now. Okay, so tell me, do you know about Mercury retrograde? Have you experienced anything during Mercury retrograde? Has your water heater blown up during Mercury retrograde, or do you never get affected by it? Let me know, okay? All right, guys, all of my information is underneath here. If you want to send me a love donation, my PayPal is there. My Amazon wish list is there. My email is there if you want to email me for a tarot or oracle card reading. And my social media is there if you want to hit me up on Facebook or if you want to hit me up on Instagram. Okay, guys, thank you. And again, fire sign, thank you for my new babies. See ya.